सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Upadesa Sahasri, chapter 18, verse number 73. Yadyevam nanyadrisyaste kim tadvaranamucyatam bhava bhavo hi tesham yo नान्यग्राह्यौ सता यदि. After refuting that jnanam word of its four types of vyutpattis, कर्तृ व्युत्पत्ति, करण व्युत्पत्ति, कर्म व्युत्पत्ति, भाव व्युत्पत्ति. This jnanam is differently presented, not regular derivation. How that Sakshi Chaitanyam, consciousness, one can claim by Mahavakya. We, the Advaitins, are introducing Sabhasa Antahkaranam. Antahkaranam is Buddhi. That Buddhi is having the reflected consciousness. In that Buddhi, Vishesha Jnanam will take place. Vishesha Jnanam means specific knowledge. Specific knowledge in the form of vritti, buddhi vritti. Buddhi vritti means pratyaya. Vritti is called pratyaya. That pratyaya, the thought, or rising in the mind. Buddhi happens to be jadam. Vritti, of course, it is also a jadam. By themselves, both are jadam. Jada vritti cannot know anything from outside world. Therefore, it requires chaitanya, sentiency. Buddhi happens to be the Sukshma Sharira Angam, Sukshma Sharira Bhagaha it is. Sukshma Sharira happens to be Jadam, subtle body by itself. To function, all the sense organs, mind, Buddhi, they need a sentient entity. That is possible only by borrowing reflected consciousness. The reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa, takes place in the Antahkarana, one's own Buddhi. Then that Buddhi becomes sentient enough because of the blessing of the Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa Sahita Antahkaranam makes the Buddhi active, thought modifications will arise. Each thought varies from the other thought, different thoughts. Each thought goes out through the sense organs, Shabda Vritti, Rupa Vritti, Gandha Vritti, Sparsha Vritti, Rasa Vritti. 5 sense organs of knowledge. You see the outside objects, you get the knowledge. This is the process. All of you know this. Now the topic is this Sabhasa or Chidabhasa is not accepted by all people. Even in Advaita itself, there are a group of people who don't accept Chidabhasa, the necessity of Chidabhasa. The necessity, the requirement of Abhasa, the reflected consciousness, it is not required. That is their argument. For that, Shankaracharya is telling you, the Advaitins, also talking like a group of Advaitins. Shankaracharya asking, we are all Advaitins. You, the Advaiti, also say that there is no necessity of Chidabhasa, then how Buddhi can know? How Buddhi can, the modifications can rise in the Buddhi, in Jada Buddhi, inert Buddhi, insentient Buddhi. The Vikara to happen, the change to happen in the Buddhi, it must be sentient. Without sentiency, it cannot be sabikaram. It cannot become the changing entity by vritti modifications, ghata vritti, pata vritti, cloth knowledge, book knowledge, pot knowledge. Like that, that vikara modifications cannot take place. Then Acharya said, you people are talking like Saugataha, like Buddhists. Buddhists are those people, they don't accept Chidabhasa. If we ask them, then how the Buddhi knows, how Buddhi can give birth to the vritti in its the antahkaranam. If it is jadam, if it is not having Chidabhasa, if you ask, what they said, Buddhi is Swayam Prakashakaha. Buddhi by itself is self-effulgent. That is what the Kshanika Vijnana. Buddhi by itself is self-effulgent. Swayam Prakashaha. Buddhi knows, experience those thoughts by itself and in experience everything. Reflected consciousness is not required. These are the views of Buddha's followers, Kshanika Vijnanavadis. Then Acharya is asking, you the Advaitins also vote like that. You people become Buddhist followers. You the Vaidikas will become Nastikas like Buddhists. That problem will come to all of you. If Jivatma is having Chidabhasa, if you don't accept, you cannot talk about bandha, moksha. Who is getting moksha? Who is having bandha? Those are all you cannot explain. Shankaracharya is asking his own sishyas who are like thinking like Buddhists. That thought, they are not Buddhists, but the thought like Kshanika Vijnanavadi. So therefore, they are asking that other group of people, then how to avoid this problem? That is asked in the 73rd verse. Yadi evam na anyat drishyah aste. Kim tad varanam uchyatam. There is no other sakshi drishyaha na bhavanti chet. There is no sakshi chaitanyam who is the lender of consciousness to the buddhi if it is not there. How will you refute their matam, Buddha matam? How will you refute? Tat katham nivaryatam or varanam uchyatam. Please tell us how to negate that Buddhist view, Naram. If pratyas are not activated by the Chidabhasa, because they don't accept Chidabhasa, Nitya Sakshi, they don't accept Saugataha. What are those pratyayas? Bhava abhavau hi tesham yau. Yau tesham bhava bhavo. Tesha means pratyayanam. The presence of thoughts. Abhava means absence of thoughts. The presence of thoughts and the absence of thoughts are the arrival of thoughts and the departure of thoughts. There must be someone who is knowing those departing thought and arrival thought. One person should stand persistently on the platform, then only he or she can talk about the train's arrival and departures, different train arrivals and departure. A person who is traveling in the train cannot know the arrival and departure of the trains. That person must be out of the train. Then only 8 o'clock train, 9 o'clock train he can know. Like that, bhava abhavo, thoughts coming and going like trains. Tesham yau na anyat grahaha grahau. If there is no grasper means experiencer. Grahau also dvivachanam, because bhava bhavau. Presence and absence of those thoughts. If anya graha means other perceiver, other experiencer, na anyat grahau sata edi. If they are not there, how we can refute the Buddhists? Then Shankaracharya is going to give answer. What are all the fallacies will take place if you don't accept Chidabhasa? Chidabhasa has to be accepted. That is the Abhasavada or Pratibimba-vada. If Pratibimba-vada you accept only, you can validate the Shruti statements also. Otherwise, Shruti statements also become redundant if you don't accept Chidabhasa. So, Chidabhasa establishment or Abhasa establishment is the job of Acharya now. Look into the 74th verse, I will read. Anvayi grahakastesham ityetadapi tatsamam achitvasya tulyatvat anyasmin grahake sati. Shankaracharya is asking his own people, O Sishyas, you people, suppose a Sishya says, there is no necessity of Chidabhasa, let us join with those Kshanika Vijnanavadis. Suppose if we say there is something else where this presence and absence of thoughts will rest in, where they go, where they rise from, that itself is the experiencer. Why can't we take that? Anvayi means persistently, that which continues, while the arrival of thoughts and the departure of thoughts. Anvayi means that which consistently be there. Grahakaha tesham iti etadapi. Suppose you say, we have to imagine, suppose Shishya says, let us think that assumption, there is something else who is the experiencer of the arrival of thought and dissolution of thought. Where from that thought is coming, where it is dissolving, that locus itself is the experiencer of arrival of thought, departure of thought. What is that? Pratyabhigna. Pratyabhigna, into that only these thoughts, from that only thoughts are coming, into that only thoughts are dissolving. Tat, suppose you say, grahakah tesham iti etadapi, anvayi grahakah tesham. Tesham means pratyayanam. Bhava bhavau pratyayanam anvayi, the one who is persistently there, that is etadapi, if at all you accept that pratyabhigna, anyena sataha tat samam. Tat samam means this what you are talking, the third entity who is the knower of thoughts and knower of the dissolving thoughts, knower of the arriving thoughts. If that is pratyabhigna, it is also a type of vritti only. Recognition is also a vritti. Vritti happens to be jadam. Tat samam only means that vritti pratyaya samam. Samam means equal. Equal means what? Vritti buddhi, buddhi vrittaya also jadam. This pratyabhigna also jadam. Both are jadam. Jadam jadam tulyam. Tat tulyam eva. Etadapi tat tulyam eva. Jadatulyam eva. Second line. Achititvasya. If that pratyabhigna is achit means jadam, chit means chaitanyam, achit means non-self. Chit means self, achit means non-self. Achititvasya. If that pratyabhigna who is the knower of arriving thought and departing thought, if it is also jadam, jadatulyam, then tulyatvat anyasmin grahake sati. Anyasmin grahake, to receive, to grasp, to perceive, to know the other things, this is also jadam only, because it is also achit. Pratyabhigna is also another type of pratyaya, recognition. Pratyabhigna, it is also another type of jada padartha only, like buddhi vritti. How it can be a grahakaha. Tulyatvat anyasmin grahake sati achititvasya. We are in the same condition, in spite of you are using the pratyabhigna, is the one which is the knower of arrival of thoughts, bhava, abhava, bhava pratyaya, abhava pratyaya. Pratyabhigna knows means what is the nature of pratyabhigna. It is also another jada padartham, jada vritti. Pratyabhigna vritti, thought alone, without chidabhasa, they are still remaining as jadam only. So there is no much improvement in your idea. So in refuting the Buddhist, your idea has not improved. Suppose, though there is a persistent pratyabhigna, the knower is accepted to know the presence and absence of thoughts. You are not going to get solution from the modifications which are revealing their presence and absence. It is not necessary of grahakah, anyasmin grahakah. There is no necessity of chidabhasa, reflected consciousness of the self. That is the reply second line Shankaracharya has given. The reply is in second line. What he said, that knower also is jadam. It is also jadam because modifications are not possible in jada pratyabhijna. It cannot have modifications. So it is also unconsciousness. Unconscious. Unconscious means what? Jadam. So what is the solution then? Next shloka, Acharya is going to continue. Adhyakshasya samipe tu siddhi syaditi chenmatam nadhyakshenupakaritvat anyatrapi prasangatah. Purvapakshi questions. Purvapakshi means Advaitin only that group of persons they are going to ask. They are asking in their view they are presenting in the first line. So Shankaracharya gives answer in the second line. So if it is pratyabhijna is also fall into the category of anatma. So anatma being jadam, as good as jadam. Why can't we take sakshi itself? In the presence of sakshi, mere presence of sakshi, kevala sakshi is called as here adhyakshaha, karmadhyakshaha. Adhyaksha means president, in whose presence all programs are taking place. That is, he is called Adhyaksha. In the presence of Sakshi, Matra, Adhyakshasya Samipe. Sanidhya matrena. Samipa means Sanidhya matrena. By just mere the presence of Sakshi, Siddhi syat. Siddhi syat means all these pratyas are functioning, modifications are taking place just by the presence of. Suppose they say pratyabhijna is sentient, that is what we are talking chidabhasa. You are talking about our matam only. So finally you have to come to chidabhasa only. If you accept pratyabhijna as sentient, that's what we are telling. Pratyabhijna because of chidabhasa happens. But if you don't accept chidabhasa, pratyabhijna will become jadam. Suppose you say sakshi, in the sakshi sanidhya matrena, in the proximity of the witness consciousness. Adhyaksha means witness consciousness, which is the eternal nitya sakshi. That is eternal nitya sakshi. Siddhi syat chet matam. If you say so, it is your contention. If it is your idea. Pratyabhijna, if I ruled out, you want to say sakshi without chidabhasa, just sakshi chaitanyam pratyaksha and sanidhyam, surroundings of sakshi, that is shuddha chaitanyam. All these pratyayas are functioning. They become sentient in the presence of sakshi chaitanyam. Suppose you say that is your matam, na, it is not correct. I don't accept. Why na? Adhyakshe anupakaritvat anyatra api prasangataha. Adhyaksha means Sakshi Chaitanyam, Shuddha Chaitanyam, Anupakaritvat. It is of no use. Pure consciousness cannot do anything. It cannot illumine, pure consciousness cannot illumine the buddhi or buddhi vritti. Anupakari means upakaram nasti, benefit nasti. By whom? By Shuddha Chaitanya. That Shuddha Chaitanya is called what? Adhyakshaha. In the presence of the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the buddhi vrittis are functioning. If you say that it doesn't work because kevala sakshi cheta nirgunasya akriyah nishkriyah Shuddha Chaitanyam, it is not useful, is of no use even if you accept the witness consciousness reveal the pratyayas. Even you accept that witness consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanyam reveals the bhava abhava pratyayas, arrival of thought and departure of thoughts. That Sakshi Chaitanyam reveals. Pure Sakshi Chaitanyam can never reveal because nishkriyatvat. न उपकारित्वात् अन्यत्र अपि प्रसंगतः. Anyatrapi means every jada vastu is also, suppose, this is very important, very genius point Acharya gives. If Sakshi presents itself, a buddhi vrittis become sentient. Because of that sentiency, they are functioning and modifications are taking place just by the presence of Sannidhya Matrena. Proximity itself, buddhi functions without Chidabhasa. Anything can function like that. Chair also can function, table also can function because Sakshi is all pervading. Chaitanyam is all pervading. Sakshi Chaitanyam is all pervading. Once it is all pervading, why only buddhi vritti can take modifications? Why not book? Why not idli sambar? Why not trees? Why not mountains? Why not other things also? Modifications can take place. How can you have a bhogya prapancha? Because everything becomes sentient. Why? Because of the just Sannidhya presence of the Sakshi Chaitanya. Why? Sakshi Chaitanya is all pervading. Since it is all pervading, by the proximity itself, buddhi is getting modifications, vrittis. All other things also can start functioning. That is anyatra api prasangataha. Anyatra means other jada vastus, inert objects also start functioning like buddhi. Bhogya vastu, everything will become sentient. Why? Because Sakshi is everywhere, all pervading. When buddhi can become sentient by just mere presence of Sakshi, why not the other objects? Anyatra api prasangataha. That will happen everywhere in Jadavastu also. That will never happen. But you see, it will never happen. It is danger also. Suppose idli also becomes sentient. Whatever you are eating, whatever you are wearing, dress also becomes sentient. Because Sakshi is all pervading. My dress is also becomes Chetana modifications. Vikara takes place. Remember danger. So there must be some jada vastu, bhogya vastu for a bhokta. So don't say that Chidabhasa Rahita Sakshi proximity itself is giving that pratyaya vikaras in the buddhi. You cannot say. Buddhi cannot become sentient by itself, nor by the proximity of Sakshi Chaitanya. By proximity itself, Buddhi becomes sentient. Without Chidabhasa interference, then everything can become sentient. Correct? So that is Acharya's presentation. So without all these things cannot function. Therefore, even Raja, the king to function, he requires commander-in-chief, soldiers, all are required. The lowest custom, even the clod of mud also become sentient. It will also walk, clod of mud, stone, wood, everything will walk because of Chaitanya. But it is not happening. Mountains also walk, fly. Trees also walk, fly. Life is horrible. Don't think like that. What you should not think, just sanidhyamatrena adhyakshasya samipe siddhihi iti na vaktavyam. If you say so, if that is your contention, that is wrong. Because pure consciousness, Chaitanyam, Sakshi Chaitanyam, of no use. Whenever we say I am, it is neither pure Shuddha Chaitanyam consciousness nor pure Anatma, Jada, Sharira, Jada Manaha, Jada, Karana Sharira. All are Jadam by themselves. None of these three, not the Atma also. Then who is there in between I am and that is what Chidabhasa. You understand Chidabhasa? Pratibimba Chaitanyam. Pratibimba Chaitanyam interference is required, very much required. Pure consciousness cannot do anything. Pure Anatma, Shariram, body, mind, Antakaranam cannot do anything. Useless by themselves, in their own place. So what? Therefore, what you have to do? See, if you don't accept Chidabhasa, what are the further consequences, disadvantages? Next sloka, 76. Arthi dukhi cha yashrota satvadhyakshotha vetarah adhyakshasya cha dukhitvam arthitvam chanate matam. Here there is a person. Now tell me, who is this person studying in front of the Guru? Guru Upadesa Arthina. The one who is interested in studying from his or her own Guru, Arthi means moksharthi. Why he wants moksha? From what he wants? Freedom. Because he is a dukhi. He is suffering, sorrowful because of janana marana vyadhi jara chakram. Dukhi cha yaha. Yaha dukhi. Shrota, the listener of Vedanta, Tattvabodha, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads. The Shrota means the seeker. Seeker of what? Arthi, moksharthi. Who will seek moksha? Those who want to come out of limitations, parichnata, finitude, they are called moksharthi. Shrota is the arthi. Guru Padesha Shrota moksharthi eva saha arthi. Yaha Shrota dukhi arthi. Both are there, adjectives to Shrota. The listener is a sufferer, suffering out of ignorance, avidya. Therefore he has come to get moksha. Therefore, he is sitting in front of the Guru. Therefore, he want to study. Take the Upadesa from the Guru. Satvadyaksho athava itaraha. Saha, that Srota, tell me now. Shankaracharya asking the question, his Shishya, oh Shishya, tell me, if this Shrota who is having dukkha, who is a moksharthi, is he a sakshi adhyakshaha or itaraha, atma or anatma? Adhyakshaha means sakshi chaitanyam. Is saha adhyakshaha, sattva adhyakshaha means saha tu adhyakshaha athava itaraha. Whether he is an adhyaksha, sakshi chaitanyam, or you want to say he is someone else. Atha athava itaraha. Otherwise, other than sakshi. Neither his, if he is not a sakshi, he must be other than sakshi. Itaraha. Tell me. What is the question? This Shrota who is the listener of the Upadesa Sahasri, is he comes under Sakshi category or other than Sakshi category, something else other than Sakshi? If you say first one, if he is a Sakshi, suppose you want to say Adye. Adye means here Adye is not there. First, if you want to say, this Shrota is Sakshi Chaitanyam. Shrota, who is the Guru Upadesha Karta, who is doing the Guru Upadesha, Shravanam, listening to Shastra, Saha Adhyakshascha Dukkhitvam Arthitvam Cha. If you say he is a Sakshi, then what will happen? Sakshi also will have Dukkhitvam and Arthitvam. If this listener is Sakshi Chaitanyam, this listener is a Dukhi, so Sakshi Chaitanyam also becomes Dukhi only, because the Shrota is a Sakshi Chaitanya. Suppose you say so. The direct Vachyartha of this Shrota, the listener, the student who is sitting, if you take Vachyartha, primary meaning of that person, he is a Dukhi. You are telling he is a Sakshi Chaitanya. Then Sakshi Chaitanyam is also a Dukhi, comes under Dukhi, sufferer, suffering, sorrowful. Not only that, Sakshi Chaitanya want to get freedom because Shrota happens to be the Sakshi Chaitanyam. Sakshi Chaitanyam also moksharthi bhavati. Look into the second line. Adhyakshasya cha. If you say that Shrota is Adhyakshaha, Sakshi Chaitanyam, Dukkhitvam Arthitvam cha. Sakshi Chaitanyam will have dukkha and desire to get moksha. Sakshi Chaitanyam will have sorrow and desire for moksha. But you don't like that. Na te matam. That is not liked by you. Tava matam. Te matam means tava matam na. That is not your intention. That is not your contention. Sakshi Chaitanyam is the Dukhi, moksharthi. That you don't accept, no. That's what Acharya is telling to that person, Sishya. Oh Sishya, it is not acceptable. That your matam, tava matam also won't accept that. How can a Sakshi Chaitanyam be Dukhi and moksharthi? It is not possible. Okay, if Sakshi Chaitanyam is not the Arthi Dukhi ruled out because it doesn't not sounding well, then can you take Itaraha other than Sakshi Chaitanyam? That Srota must be, Srota is not Sakshi Chaitanyam, Srota is the listener of the Vedanta, is other than Sakshi Chaitanyam, other than witness consciousness. Suppose you say, What will happen? Next shloka, 77. Kartadyakshah sadasmiti naiva sadgraha marhati sadevasiti mithyoktihi shruterapi na yujyate. So, what is the next consequence? Itaraha, karta. The shrota is the karta, listener, listening karta, who is listening to his Guru Upadesha. If this person is the Guru Upadesha karta, shrota, moksharthi, is the karta adhyakshaha, sakshi iti chet. Adhyakshaha, sakshi is not the dukhi, sakshi is not the shrota, sakshi is not the shrota is not the sakshi, you have said. But Guru Upadesha sat eva asmi iti is not possible. Karta adhyakshaha sat asmi iti naiva sadgraham arhati. If this shrota is, you tell the shrota, oh shrota, shrota, you are the sat, you are the sat, pure existence principle, which is satyam, jnanam, anantam, brahma, that is you are. Suppose you say to this shrota directly, vachyartha, you say to him, you are Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi. Karta, the one who is sitting and listening. Karta, adhyakshaha, sakshi chaitanyam, adhyakshaha sat asmi. I am that sadrupa sakshi chaitanyam iti naiva sadgraham arhati. He is not able to grasp that how can I be Sat? That Karta, the listener of the Vedanta, Shastra says you are Sakshi Chaitanyam, pure consciousness, if you say so, that student will not accept. Why? The student says, how can be I am all pervading Sakshi Chaitanyam? How can I be previous shloka, Sakshi Chaitanyam is the listener. Sakshi Chaitanya will become dukhi and arthi, moksharthi. If Sakshi Chaitanya becomes the shrota. No, Sakshi Chaitanya is not the shrota. That person who is listening, the Karta himself is addressed by the Mahavakya. You are Brahman, Shastra says, the sufferer, the dukhi, moksharthi. Okay? Shastra is telling you are that Brahman. Vachyartha, the person cannot accept. In a jadam, jadamanaha, jada buddhi, jada pratyaya, all are jadam. How can that person, karta, adhyakshaha sadasmi iti, I am the Sakshi Chaitanyam, that Sadrupa Chaitanyam I am. Yathartha bodhana, bodha na bhavati. Sad graham na arhati, naiva arhati. Grasping, claiming that Sat is myself is not possible. Without Chidabhasa. These are all discussions without Chidabhasa. Without Chidabhasa, in between, the Ahankara is not there. Chidabhasa is not accepted. A group of people, Chidabhasa is not there. You see, imagine, Ahankara is not there. Only Buddhi, Jada Pratyaya, everything is there. The listener who is listening to the Shastra, Moksharthi, Dukhi. And here Sakshi Chaitanyam is there. Can Sakshi Chaitanyam, you say it is the Srota? Then Sakshi Chaitanyam will become the Dukhi and Moksharthi. that is not acceptable to you, because Sakshi Chaitanyam cannot be the Dukhi Moksharthi. Then you have to say what? Another option. Something else is not Sakshi, but he is Sat Brahma, Sat Brahma Chaitanyam. Like that, if you want to say Akshat Adhyakshaha Sat Asmi iti, that pure existence I am. How can this Shrota, where there is no ahankara, chidabhasa, jada, Shrota, first of all, he cannot become Shrota. If at all become Shrota, Dukhi, Arthi, so they cannot claim that I am Sat Brahma. Cannot be claimed. He cannot claim. Na arhati. Na arhati means not possible. Bodha jnanam na sambhavati. Na labhate ityartha. Na arhati means na labhate. What na labhate? Na sat. Satgraham. Satgraham means claiming that I am Sat. Because Guru said Tattvamasi. The whole Prakaranam, 18th chapter is Tattvamasi Prakaranam. The Tattvamasi Prakaranam Mahavakya of Chandogya, 6th chapter. There what Guru said, oh my dear student, you are that. You are that means what is that? You have to go to the mantra. Sadeva somya idamagra asit. Oh my dear student, Sat eva asit. Pure existence alone was there. Agre means before the creation also. Sadeva somya idamagra asit. Ekam eva advitiyam. That is only non-dual. Ekam advitiyam, secondless. That Sat is secondless. One alone, homogeneous. Eka pratyaya saram only. Sadeva somya idam agre asit. Ekameva advitiyam. Afterwards, what Guru said? Tattvamasi Shvetaketo. That Sat, Tat, Tvamasi. You are. This is Mahavakya. The whole sentence, Tattvamasi, comes 9 times in Chandogya, 6th chapter. Uddalaka tells to his son Shvetaketu, O Shvetaketu, Sat alone was there, existence, pure existence, consciousness principle was there before the creation. Agre asit. Ekameva, that is only one. Advitiyam, non-dual. Afterwards, what father said? That Sat, Tat means pronoun. That means what? It is connected to what? Previous pronoun. Sat. Sat, Tat, Sat, Tvamasi. You are. How a student can grasp? How can be I am that Sat? Like that, the student feels Tattvamasi Sad Asmi iti. I am that Sat. Asmi iti naiva arhati grahakam sadgraham arhati naiva arhati. Satgraham means claiming that I am Sat principle. Graham means what here? Grasping, owning. What is the owning here? Not any property. Owning, I am that Sat. Why? Once Uddalaka said to Shvetaketu, it is as good as telling to us also. Sadeva somya idamagra asit ekameva advitiyam tattvamasi Shvetaketu. That Sati happens to be yourself. How Shvetaketu can claim, how can I be the Sat? Na arhati. Suppose he says something else, na Tat Sat. Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat antam. Every Bhagavad Gita ending chapter. Tat Sat Graham na arhati. He cannot own up, claim, I am the Sat. Then what will happen? Sadevasi iti mithya muktihi. Shrutehi api na yujyate. If that is not accepted by the Shrota, that you are the Sat, Shrota is not accepting narhati, because Shrota, there is no Chidabhasa, Abhasa Chaitanyam. Shrota, how can he become a Shrota? How can he become a Moksharthi? How can he become a Dukhi? And all this is happening only because of Chidabhasa, Ahankara. If Ahankara, Chidabhasa is not there, he cannot claim I am Sat Brahma. Then what will happen? Sadeva Asiditi. That quotation within brackets you can put. Sadeva Asiditi, that statement of Chandogya Upanishad of 6th chapter Sadvidya, Sadeva Asid iti. Asiti. Mithyavuktihi, it becomes a false statement. It becomes a false statement because the Shrota is not claiming I am Sat Brahma, is not having that capacity. Because Jada Buddhi, Jada Pratyaya, Jada everything, Jada, inert, who will claim I am Sat Brahma? Sad Asit iti Mithyavuktihi. Shruti Vedanta, Shruti Vakyam will become redundant. Shrutirapi na yujyate. That Shruti becoming like that you don't like. None of us like that Shruti statement to be redundant, meaningless. Na yujyate, it is not proper. Shrutyukta grahana is not possible. Grasping that Shrutyukta Tattvamasi Mahavakya is not possible. Sadeva Asit iti Mithyavuktihi Shrutirapi na yujyate. Shrutehi Mithyavuktihi na yujyate. Becoming Shruti Vakyam becoming redundant is not proper. Shruti statement should be meaningful, purposeful. We should not make the Shruti statement redundant. Therefore, what Shankaracharya establishing, therefore you have to accept Chidabhasa. Next shloka, 78. Avivicho bhayam bhakti srutische grahastatha अस्मदस्तु विविच्चैव त्वमेवेति वदेद्यदि प्रत्ययान्वयी निष्ठत्वं मुक्तदोषः प्रसज्यते. If Shruti says Avivichya Ubhayam Vakti, Avivichya means without separating. Without separating. Bhubhayam means Atma and Ahankara. Atma and Ahankara without separating them. Suppose, அப்படி சொல்லிருக்கணும் அனர்த்தம். Shruti would have said like that. Atma and Ahankara are not separate. Without separating them, if Shruti would have said Avivichya Ubhayam, Ubhayam Atma and Ahankara, Vakti Shrutihi Chet. If Shruti says so, without separating them, both are not separated, suppose Grahaha Tatha Syad, then there is possibility of claiming if they are not separated. Both are one and the same. Shruti would have said that there is no question of perceiver, perceived, there is no question of knower, all these things will not take place. Experiencer, grasper, all will not take place because vivicha na uktam Shruti. Separately, Shruti would have not said suppose. There is no problem. But asmadastu vivichaiva. Suppose by separation, tvameva iti vadet yadi. Vivichya, you are separate from ahankara. Ahankara is separate. Vivichya means separating both of them. Upanishad is talking. Vivichya. So that ahankara is introduced by the Upanishad itself without using that word ahankara. Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is the who is having bondage, who is getting moksha. This question we saw already. Body is not having bondage, mind is not having bondage, buddhi is not having bondage. Why? They are jadam, inert. Inert things cannot have bondage. Can you say Atma has bondage? Atma is ever free. Atma can never have bondage. But then who is having bondage in between? Jada Shariram, Jada Buddhi, Jada Pratyaya cannot have bondage. Jadatvat, Ghatavat. Atma Chaitanyam cannot have bondage. Atma Chaitanyam need not get moksha because it is ever free. It doesn't have any boundary, infinite. Then who is getting bandha? Who is getting moksha here? Who is having bandha, bondage? Who is getting moksha is the very, very, very important thing. That is ahankara. Mithya Chidabhasa has to take place there. In between making the body-mind complex sentient, Atma Chaitanyam has to lend the Chidabhasa, ahankara has to take place. That ahankara has got bondage, that ahankara has to be liberated. Mithya ahankara. As though bondage, as though liberation. As though liberation. Whole thing happening, no? Everyone taking themselves as body, mind, complex. I am suffering, I am suffering, I am suffering. I have a problem. I have this problem, that problem. Who? Jada Shariram, Jada Manas, Jada Buddhi. Jada Buddhi cannot have. Jada Manas cannot have suffering. Then Atma is having. Atma can never have. Then who is suffering? This ahankara, this Chidabhasa. Jivatma, who is known as ahankara, the Jivatma, I am. Ego. That ego, we have to say ego. Therefore, accept Chidabhasa is very important. Vivichya evam asmadastu vivichya eva tvameva iti vadet yedi. Having given that vivichya, Chidabhasa is lended by Sakshi Chaitanyam, Chidabhasa has taken place, then Buddhi becomes sentient, and this ahankara, Chidabhasa get tadatmyam with the Buddhi, Manas, Shariram, etc., etc. And this Chidabhasa, ahankara will have a lot of drama, suffering, Jivana Yatra with this Jada Manas Buddhi Chaitanya, because it is with Tadatmya Adhyasa. That Tadatmya Adhyasa, because of that, it is having long notions. I am bound, I am suffering, I am old, I am having death, I am having disease, all this ahankara is doing. Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa Sahita Antakaranam. Chidabhasa alone cannot do anything. Reflection is formed in the Antakaranam. Antakaranam is the medium Sukshma Shariram. That is that ahankara vivichya bhagatyaga lakshanaya. Guru says tatu tvam asi Means, oh Shishya, you are not Chidabhasa Sahita Antakaranam Ahankara, you are Sakshi Chaitanyam, the lender of Chidabhasa. You are not the borrower of Chidabhasa, you are the lender of Chidabhasa. Nice teaching can take place. Who is bound? Ahankara is bound. Chidabhasa Sahita Antakaranam. Who is liberated? Ahankara Sahita Antakaranam, Jivatma is liberated. Really liberated? Really bound? No, only adhyasa. It is only a superimposition. Notion. Tvameva iti vadet yadi. Then Shastra says, you are that Sakshi Chaitanyam, not this Ahankara. Chidabhasa Sahit Antakaranam becomes sentient. That Antakaranam makes the Buddhi sentient. That Buddhi gives rise of thoughts and all. And that thoughts goes to the sense organs. That sense organs pervade the objects. Then it develops raga, dvesha, sukha, dukkha, lot of pleasures, pains and all this drama has to happen. You have to accept Chidabhasa. Pratyayanvayi nishthatvam uktad. Pratyayanvayi, the anvayi, the one who continues. Oh, time up. This last line I will explain in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.